guys, so you're probably wondering, why are we talking about Brett Kavanaugh again? Because the New York Times is pushing a book, quite frankly, but let's jump into it. New York Times, new Brett Kavanaugh accuser claims friends pushed his penis into the hand of a female student. Oh my God, shocking revelations. Why didn't we hear about this when he was running for Supreme Court nominee? Oh, we did, but it was investigated and found out to be a load of crap, so nothing ever came about it. But now they're trying to sell a book, so let's all redo it again, apparently. But let's jump into it. So the New York Times claims Saturday that a new accuser witness of the Supreme Court, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, committed an act of sexual misconduct as a freshman at Yale University. It's getting really late here. The Times' Robin Pogard and Kate Kelly reported in an article that appears as Sunday's printed edition. So we've also uncovered a previous unreported story. No, it was reported, but anyway. As far as I know it was. About Mr. Kavanaugh in his freshman year that echoes Miss Deborah Rims's allegations. A classmate, Max Stower, kind of sounds like a bloke's name. Why are we talking to a classmate, Max? Saw Kavanaugh with his pants down at a different drunken dorm party, where friends pushed his penis into the hand of a female student. How do you exactly do that? But anyway. Mr. Steyer, who runs a non-profit organisation in Washington... I wonder which non-profit... If we were to Google this, do you think it'd be a Democrat non-profit? Do you think it'd be part of the DNC publish machine? Press? Whatever you want to call it? Do you think that maybe this guy might have an agenda? But anyway. Notified senior senators and the FBI about his account, but the FBI did not investigate, and Mr. Steyer has declined to discuss it publicly. We're corroborated with the story with two officials who have communicated with Mr. Steyer. So in other words, they haven't got him his own witness. They haven't spoken to him themselves. The only people this guy's talking to is the FBI and two other people. The New York Times story, HuffPost reports, was made somewhat by a tweet sent by the Times Twitter account to promote the story that claimed having a penis thrust in your face at a drunken dorm party may seem like harmless fun. The Times deleted the tweet and apologised. During the Senate confirmation hearing last fall, Kavanaugh faced the sudden avalanche of accusations, many outlandish and none proven or provable, dating from his high school or college days. Liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has praised the new colleague for hiring the first of all female... Liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who I'm pretty sure is not very well at all, has praised her new colleague for hiring the first all-female staff of law clerks. So Trump has obviously gone through and he's talked about it. Molly Hanwang, a senior editor at The Federalist, who has written her own book on the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings, tweeted Sunday that the Times reporter's own book contradicts the claim in the article because the alleged victim does not recall the event. So she wrote here, New York Times reporter's essay about the supposed second Yale incident omitted their own book reporting that completely undercuts it. The alleged victim denies any memory of it. Journalists' indefensible, though gullible additions reports are spreading it, of course. So, Pirog and Kelly's book is called The Education of Brett Kavanaugh, an Investigation. So, let me get this straight. Someone who's selling a book has made a claim that Brett Kavanaugh assaulted some girl back in her college days, or high school college days. The person who was allegedly assaulted does not remember the incident, but don't worry, some guy who runs a non-profit organisation, which is most likely no way linked to the Democratic Party, okay? Because that would just be inconvenient, because we know it's probably going to. But anyway, but some guy who supposedly saw it. The victim doesn't remember it, but we have a guy who runs a non-profit who remembers seeing it. But does anybody get the idea that this might be just to sell a book? Does anybody else think that maybe this is all about book sales and dragging a young man's name through, well, it's not really young, but dragging a man's name through the mud so that you can make some nickel and dimes off a book sale? Now, of course, once this all came out, you know, Omar's jumped in saying, impeach the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh is our constitutional duty. All of a sudden now the Democrats care about Constitution. That's rich. Hollywood goes after Brett Kavanaugh. He must be impeached. You're probably wondering, why are they impeaching Brett Kavanaugh? Because Trump has overwhelming numbers on the Supreme Court. If Trump was to go through and overturn Roe v. Wade and take it through the Supreme Court, they would probably lose right now. Trump would most likely win it because he has the numbers in the Supreme Court. And Trump has a possibility of getting another 2 nominations in the Supreme Court, which would give him a vast majority of them. So what are they doing? They're going after Brett Kavanaugh. Because they don't want Trump to take back this is all about abortion. This is all about women having late-term abortions. Remember when we did a story a couple of days ago where Planned Parenthood has been selling fetal tissue and they've had to admit it in court? In case some of you didn't see that story, I'll put a link at the end of this video for it. Yeah, kind of is all making sense now. It's all kind of linked, isn't it? You know, you got the Democrats who are in bed with Planned Parenthood going through pushing a abortion up into and including even after the baby's born. Even if the baby is attempted aborted, it survives, even if it's the woman's giving birth, you can supposedly get an abortion now these days. Right? They keep pushing these for these late-term abortions. And we have Planned Parenthood who recently was being caught going through and had to admit in court that they're selling fetal tissue. I wonder which gets them the best price. Is it the well-developed baby that is aborted, or is it the young 3-month-old baby that's aborted that gets the best price? What do you think? If you were to sell a heart or a lung or a kidney or whatever it may be on the sort of market, do you think that selling the baby part that's well-developed enough to sustain a life would go for more price or less than a 3-month-old kidney, for example, that mightn't be developed at all? Kind of tickles the part of the brain, isn't it? It really gets the noggin jogging, so to speak. But don't worry, since then, the New York Times has had to come out and issue a correction. Oh, this is interesting. New York Times forced to admit Kavanaugh victim doesn't remember the assault. Oh, really? Interesting, isn't it? You're still selling that book, though, I bet, though, aren't you? Of course, this is always going to be the case where the corrections get less airtime than the accusations in the first place. The correction admits a fairly, somewhat, kind of, maybe important piece of the information about Kavanaugh's alleged victim refusing to talk to the Times and doesn't remember the alleged assault. Well, I'm glad you didn't drag a guy's name through the mud over the weekend over it. I'm glad you haven't had, you know, congresswomen and Hollywood and everybody going after the impeachment of said Supreme Justice, because that would just be inconvenient, wouldn't it? You know? Having these Hollywood types and these, you know, congresswomen and men even going through and trying to impeach a justice of the Supreme Court on false accusations that the victim can't remember. Yeah, if that's the case, I might or might not have been assaulted by Hillary Clinton. I can't remember it, but hey, I can go and write a book. Makes you wonder what sort of response that would get, wouldn't it? Probably not a very good one, because it'd be a load of crap. Like when you're trying to impeach the Supreme Court justice. Probably like that, right? Look, at the end of the day, I'll be surprised that they've had to issue a correction. No. When I heard about this over the weekend, I thought about doing another story, or just doing a once-off thing about it, because I knew it was a load of crap. But, yeah. Yeah. Not a real good look, the New York Times. Yeah, might be looking a little bit like fake news here. But, yeah. Interesting, isn't it? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you surprised they've had to issue this retraction? What were your initial thoughts when you think about it? Or when you heard about it? This to me is... It's not only diminishing other sexual assault victims or people who were assaulted in the past. It's not only diminishing their own stories. But at the end of the day, it's also making it harder for women to come forward who were actually assaulted. Because there's so many false accusations up there now. You can literally write a book and literally claim a man assaulted someone and not have any proof about it. And that's the breakdown of the law and justice system. Now, obviously, Trump has gone through, and Trump is saying to Kavanaugh that he needs to go through and start suing people for libel. And, of course, people then started criticizing Trump for misspelling libel. Yes, that's the important thing out of this story. The most important thing out of this story was Trump misspelling a word. Not the fact that the New York Times ran an article advertising a book which they knew had false accusations in it. That's not the important thing. The important thing is Trump misspelling libel. Interesting, isn't it? But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. This will be the last story for the day. This is literally my 4th video, so I'm going to go to bed because I did one for the gaming channel as well. But guys, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in that comment section. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we will see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.